Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be My Girlfriend is in a Cult. Is this fixable? Well, this particular email is from a viewer who says his girlfriend belongs to this cult like church. And I guess apparently the people that run the church are trying to get her to date some guy that also goes to the church. And they even refer to this guy as her boyfriend, even though they haven't gone out on a date. But they're clearly trying to twist her arm to do what they want. I guess they don't like this guy because he's not a member of the church. And so on top of that, he didn't even know about this other guy until he found out about it recently. So she was hiding the fact that her cult-like church is trying to get her to date some guy from the church. And she's also hiding it from her parents, so she's kind of being dishonest. If you're dating a girl, and then plus they haven't had sex yet because he said that's their religious value. So I don't know if that means that there's no sex until marriage, or they're allowed to fool around but no penetration, or what they're actually doing because he doesn't elaborate. But he's got a girlfriend who goes to church, and the church is constantly trying to hook her up with some guy there. And on top of that, she kept it from him. If you're in a relationship with a girl, that'd be kind of something you would want to know. But she kept it from him. She kept it from her parents. So that shows there's some level of deviousness on her part. And so he really likes her, and he's wondering, what can I do to get rid of this guy, basically? Well, if you're going to agree to be your boyfriend, she should not be entertaining this, and she should be shutting the church down and this guy. But she's not, for whatever reason. And on top of that, she lied by omission to keep it from you and her parents. So that's not good either. So he says, hey, Coach, first off, I want to thank you for all you do. You and your content have truly changed my life. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. That said, my name is Bob. We know he's not really Bob, but we always use Bob and Jessica to protect the names of the innocent. And I have a pretty interesting scenario for you with this email today. I am an 18-time reader of 3% Man, and I am proud to say that I just finished the most recent 10 reads within the last 90 days. This situation matters to me deeply, and I wanted to commit to the book in reflection of that. The last several months, I've been dating an absolute 10 from Lithuania. She has modeled before and is one of the most beautiful girls I've ever met. We talked for several months prior, and despite signs of high attraction, her actions didn't mirror her all in the numbers indicators, which I found to be strange. So in other words, he's looking at the table, the attraction table. It's all in the numbers, the chapter where I read out, here's what a woman does based upon her high interest. And so if he's expecting her interest to be higher, but when he looks at her actions, they're not the actions of a woman with really high interest, well, we have to bottom line the actions and realize her interest isn't that high. And that would kind of make sense for her behavior, especially keeping this other guy about him. No self-respecting guy is going to like to find out that there's some other dude her church is trying to push on her, and she's not giving pushback. She tells the guy she has a boyfriend, I believe. I think he said that. We'll see as I get further in the email, but still, this is not a situation I would want to be dealing with. He says, as a result, I doubled down on the book and realized that I was over pursuing even a bit and successfully hung out and had fun. And despite not hooking up for mutual religious reasons, became as intimate as possible in our own way. So when he realized that her attraction was not where it should be, he got back into the book and realized that he was over pursuing. So good on you for doing that. Most guys would keep flying blind until they get rejected. She introduced me to her family, who were incredible, and we made plans to go to her home country for their annual Christmas party. Well, at least Lithuania is having their annual Christmas party, because in France and all over Germany, they're canceling them because they have a problem with too many jihadists in their society. And so they don't want to upset the jihadists, And clearly the barriers are not working that they put up so people can't drive cars through them. And so they've decided, the politicians, instead of deporting the animals that would not be allowed to practice the strain of Islam that they're trying to practice, they wouldn't allow that shit in the Middle East. They don't allow it in Saudi Arabia. They don't allow it in the Emirates. The European politicians is, you know what? We're just going to have to cancel Christmas because we got a jihadist problem, but we're not really willing to do anything about it because diversity is our strength. Because Lithuanians got oppressed pretty heavily by the Soviet Union. And from what I've heard from people that were there, friends of mine that were there, the Lithuanian Special Forces were some of the best that they worked with. These guys would, basically throw on their body armor and their underwear when it's really fucking hot and ride around on their motorcycles. And the Taliban were scared of them because these guys were fucking ruthless and fearless. So they did not like mixing it up with the Lithuanians. They preferred not to, let's put it that way. With that said, she was oddly secretive about some communication, often calling me from her work number and not her personal phone. Yeah, so this is deviousness. That's not good. It ends up the church she goes to has been manipulating her to try and become exclusive with another guy who she hid as a secret from her family, prioritizing the church's opinions over theirs and her own desires. She freaked out when I found out about him and has shut down into silence for the last 3 days. Well, quite frankly, it kind of looks like your girlfriend had a side piece. So she just freaks out and disappears. Well, that's not a good sign. I mean, I would think that she would want to... can you explain to me why the people in the church think you're dating this other guy? And why you only call me from a work number? I stayed cool, calm, and collected and treated him like a non-threat, as this church is not exactly known for churning out high-character stars, LOL, let alone 3% men. Well, again, if you're her boyfriend and she hasn't shut this shit down, I would have a problem with that. It doesn't mean you just, allow her to entertain another guy behind your back, which is what she's doing. So, quite frankly, it kind of looks like she was cheating on you. We weren't exclusive directly, but obviously going to the extent of introducing me to her family, telling me more passionately that I've ever heard from another girl, that she loves me, etc., are not indicators of low attraction. Well, at the end of the day, you're clearly more focused on your interest in her, and you're kind of ignoring a lot of glaring reality that you should not, which is A, there's another dude in the picture. B, you're not exclusive, even though I think you referred to her as your girlfriend. No, it does not his girlfriend. He doesn't say it in there. I thought he did. But again, he's entertaining this shit. Whatever you tolerate, you invite more of. We weren't exclusive directly, but obviously going to the extent of introducing me to her family. So again, he thinks that she's really super into him. But again, he's really more focused on his interest in her and completely ignoring the fact that she's not as into him. I mean, if a girl really truly loves you, she's going to want the world to know. And if you're really applying what's in the book and you're just dating a girl and you're not telling anybody that you're dating her and you've been together for a while, she'll get mad. How come you don't tell anybody that we're together? How come you don't tell anybody that I'm your girlfriend? That's the way it should be. Unfortunately, it seems like this religious community, despite me having my master's degree in theology from the top school in America, is trying to convince her against being with me in favor of a guy who attends their service. The church, not her, calls this guy her boyfriend, to which I joked, if that's the case, you should see how she talks to me with that James Bond smirk. Well, at the end of the day, you're not really doing anything with her other than hanging out and having fun, and it kind of sounds like a gay male girlfriend. Maybe you're getting manipulated by her because, as you said, you're not really going anywhere, not doing anything physically because of your religious values, and it looks like she's two-timing you. In other words, she's got you, and then she's got this other guy, and she kept this other guy's secret from you. So that's not a good thing, dude. You act like you're, a stud and a ladies' man, and you got this girl wrapped around your finger, and in reality, she's been lying to you and punking you. And I assume spending time with this other guy. So why would they be referring to him as a boyfriend if they hadn't at least been out on a few dates or hung out? And plus, she's disappeared. Well, that kind of looks like she's guilty, like she got found out that she had another boyfriend or another guy she was dating. He says, apart from this weirdness, the girl marks every box on my list in a once a decade, if not longer, connection. Dude, you're not having sex with her. It just sounds like you're friends and you're all enamored with your fantasy that you're projecting of who you want her to be. And you're ignoring the fact she's been lying to you through omission. Once you found out about this other guy, now you haven't heard from her in 3 days. It's like she got busted and the jig is up. That's not a good sign. Both yourself and those listening understand the power in that. Well, again, this power really is a fantasy in your head. Because she certainly does not seem to be placing the same high priority on you being in her life that you are on her being in your life. I have several other girls as well, but obviously not on her level here, which I've never found before her. Well, again, this all really is just projected fantasy, and you're kind of ignoring reality. Is this a knocking out the competition kind of scenario, or should I be more concerned about this church's influence over? Well, I'd be more concerned about the fact she's lying about this by not telling you about it, and the fact once you found out about it and you let her know that you know about this guy, now she's just completely disappeared. So it sounds like she's a little conflict avoidant, and you still don't really know what's going on. Her actions are the actions of a woman is guilty and found out that she was cheating on you. Again, you talk like she's the great love of your life, but in reality, you're just kind of hanging out. So it doesn't really look like you have a serious relationship. It just looks like it's a situationship. You maybe occasionally fool around, but you don't really take it that far because maybe you're making excuses because you just say, oh, well, this is our religious values. But at the end of the day, she's got another guy that she's talking to. If it were me, I'd be taking a step back because she didn't tell you about this other guy. You're not exclusive. And you've clearly invested a lot of time and energy on somebody that doesn't view you in the same way that you view her. And at the end of the day, and you also said you were over pursuing. So if a woman's in love with you, she wants the whole world to know about you. But the fact that she's kept you from everybody, or maybe she's told the church that she's seeing you, that, again, the fact that she's willing to entertain this other guy shows that you're not really that important to her, even though you're basically saying, oh, this is a once-a-decade connection. The connection is supposed to be mutual, and it don't look mutual. It looks like it's mostly all in your head. So as Ayn Rand said, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So if you haven't heard from her in 3 days and she was seeing another guy, I'd be taking a step back and wanting to spend time with somebody else. Spend time with other women. And if she never ever reaches out again, then I would just ride off into the sunset. I would not chase after a girl that would behave this way. She tells you she loves you and everything, but yet she's got another guy on the side. So something is a little off, dude, and you should probably pull your head out of your ass and stop being so delusional. And if it were me, I would just be dating other women and not be so focused on your feelings. Because at the end of the day, if you care more about her than she does you, she's going to like you less. And that looks like what's going on here. It looks like you got a little full of yourself and put the cart before the horse. So I'd be dating and entertaining other women because that kind of looks like a deal breaker. I mean, if she's been dating another guy and lying to you all the time and telling you how much she loves you, but it just looks like she's been blowing sunshine up your ass and you're believing everything that comes out of her mouth. So that's on you. It's great you read the book a bunch, but if you're not really applying it, then That's on you. If you were applying the book like you should be, she should have been head over heels in love with you and wanting to be boyfriend, girlfriend, and wanting to tell the world and everybody. Yeah, you've met her parents, but the lack of honesty and the lack of her being forthcoming about this, that is troubling. That doesn't look good for her. I'd be investing my time and my energy elsewhere with a woman that's not going to do this kind of shit. Because unless she reaches out, I'd ride off into the sunset. Because if you go chasing after her when she's already ignoring you and you haven't heard from her in 3 days, that's not a good sign. So if you got a question or challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the coaching tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and book a coaching session with yours truly. If you haven't already signed up for our exclusive premium members-only content, in the video description of this video, there are links to join on YouTube, or you can join on Spotify, or our website, understandingrelationships.com. Just click the plans tab when you get there, and you can sign up for a 7-day free trial to check out all the great content you get for your money. And if you choose an annual plan, you can get a 25% discount at the end of the 7-day free trial. So go to understandingrelationships.com, click the plans tab, sign up for a premium membership trial today. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.